Oh, weekday mornings at 6:40 and weekday afternoons at 12:20. Hear his reports by downloading the free WTIM mobile app at the Apple Store or Google Play.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome into the WTIM's information station. Now we are doing the WTIM morning show. My name is Tim Zalabak. Thank you to our live stream sponsors, the People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. But now it's time for me to meet with our first guest of the day. I have U of I Extension beef and cattle educator Travis Mateer. How you doing today, Travis? Do we have you on the line?
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be with you today.
So good to be with you. You sound great on our end. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. We've been talking a whole lot about a whole lot of agriculture stuff on air recently. But first, we want to get into some interesting Dudley Smith annual field day stuff. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the annual Dudley Smith field day will be taking place on June 29th. Our event will be from 9:30 to 1 p.m. It's there at the Dudley Smith Research Farm. For folks that aren't familiar with the location of the farm, it's between Decatur and Taylorville, and it's just east of Route 29. Dudley Smith Research Facility there is a component of our University of Illinois Research Farm System, and set up by the Dudley Smith Initiative, which has a lot of history to it. And I think, I've kind of grew up in the Christian County area and spent time there as a youth, as a cattle producer as well, as a member of 4-H and FFA. Always heard about Dudley Smith, but it wasn't until my employment through University of Illinois Extension that I got to spend a ton of time there. And it's a unique piece of land. It's for some of your listeners that have been to Dudley Smith Farm, they know it doesn't exactly look like a traditional Illinois cattle farm. It's kind of lower lying soils that are very flat. The soils hold a fair amount of moisture, and but we have a really unique rotational grazing system there. We've been able to do a lot of different research projects in the past as well. So we're going to highlight some research this year. We're also going to have discussions around several pretty hot topic issues. Obviously, I'll be discussing some drought management strategies for beef cattle. We've got Talon Becker, who's also a University of Illinois Extension specialist, who'll be talking about regenerative ag and what that really means and some of the research that we have going on at the university in that area. And then we'll also have a guest speaker, Jim Crum from U.S. Wellness Meats, talking about direct marketing. And for cattle producers that may already be direct marketing, we're potentially looking at marketing locally to their community. I think Jim will offer a lot of insights in that area. And then our final speaker will close the program will be Dr. Giovanni Fontes, who is our field crops agronomist at the University of Illinois.
Beautiful. Thank you for laying all that out for us. I want to get back to a little bit where you started there. You're able to reconnect back with the beef and cattle industry here. You mentioned that you were able to go to the annual field day back in your childhood.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think, one person I do want to mention would be Ed Ballard. And Ed has been a part of the research, the maintenance, the vision of the Dudley Smith facility from the beginning. And, Ed continues to be involved with the research facility today. So when I joined the University of Illinois Extension, Ed was one of those folks that quickly, chaperoned me to the Dudley Smith Research Farm and showed me around and gave me kind of the lay of the land and told me what's going on and some of the history that's been involved with the Dudley Smith Farm. And I can't thank Ed enough for that, but he's done a great job in building local relationships and being a great resource for folks in the area, forage production and beef cattle grazing. And he's definitely brought his expertise to Dudley Smith. And like I mentioned, that rotational grazing system that's there on the farm, he helped design that and definitely has helped use that as a farm tool to show and illustrate to producers what can be done with rotational grazing.
Absolutely. We've heard so much about Ed here, and he's able to. Yeah, I think you said he's retiring from retiring. He just can't stay away right now. He's doing a little bit more work out there, I've heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as he kind of maybe we joke about him retiring from retiring, but Ed's been such a big part of the Dudley Smith initiative, even past his extension career. But yeah, I think he's finally said, okay, well, it's time to maybe just pull the reins back a little bit. So I'm sure he will continue to stay involved and be around. But we do wish him well, as maybe he wants to spend a little less time managing the Dudley Smith Center.
Yeah, totally. So you mentioned that this field day, it might be a little bit different of a farm look than people could be used to. You explained a little bit. What is the reasons, and what does it really look like? What's makes the Dudley Smith farm a little bit different?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times in central Illinois, especially, you find cattle kind of grazing low lands, like maybe some floodplain, creek beds, and then maybe some ground that can't be tillable. And I would say that you'll find if you visit the Dudley Smith farm that it would be land that's pretty flat, and some folks would say, well, that is pretty characteristic of tillable land in central Illinois. And so I think first things first, you show up and you see such a well-designed grazing facility with paddocks and high tensile fence and waters and rotational system that for those involved in beef cattle production, first it's just kind of really nice to gaze and look. It's kind of a show and tell opportunity, the Dudley Smith Field Day, for folks to come out and take a look. But it is very uniform, very well designed, and an opportunity for folks to kind of get, if they are thinking about maybe their own rotational grazing system, get some ideas about what it could look like and what design features they may want to implement on their own farm. But it's very square. Like I said, it's pretty flat, somewhat characteristic of tillable land. And so, yeah, I think it's probably one of those systems where there's not as many trees and hills and draws as there is in a lot of central Illinois cattle pastures, but it gives us the opportunity to really showcase what good grazing management can do on some pretty competitive, high quality soils in central Illinois.
So this field day is really going to benefit some cattle farmers right now that might be looking for other options of grazing and feeding cattle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that anytime we can get cattle producers together, not only do they gather some ideas from maybe walking around and seeing things at the Dudley Smith farm, maybe listening to a few speakers, but they also get the opportunity to network and have those discussions with their fellow producers. And so I would definitely anticipate that folks that come to Dudley Smith, they're going to be able to share what's going on in their farm and hear from other producers on how they're managing these tough times. And as a producer myself, those are the conversations that really draw me to these in-person events. It's just talking with folks, seeing what's going on in their farm, listening to what strategies they're deploying. And as always, as an extension specialist on my behalf, I'm always talking with producers and trying to help them navigate these scenarios. And so I will be able to share some of my conversations that I've had over the last month or 6 weeks. And then, some of these conversations are definitely mirroring the conversations that I had in the year 2012 when we had a severe drought that year.
Geez, all right. So kind of unprecedented times once again here. I really want to get into that after the break here. We still got about a minute left until we go on it. But what a valuable opportunity for all these brains kind of working on one thing, and that's cattle production and taking care of cattle. It's probably very, very valuable for them. Is this one of your favorite parts of the year here, meeting with them?
Yeah, it's great. Just the kind of the fraternity that's Ed and the folks involved with the Dudley Smith farm and our local extension units that have really built relationships in the past. It's encouraging to really be a part of that. And I think, we've mentioned cattle production because that's my specialty, but Talon Becker is one of our extension commercial ag folks. And then Dr. Giovanni, they're going to focus a little more maybe on the row crop side and things from agronomy. And so if you're maybe not into the cattle business, but you're a local farmer and you have row crops and you're trying to deal with drought, those two folks will be able to help you navigate that situation on your row crop operation as well.
Totally. Wow, this has been really great so far. I love learning about all this stuff. I'm just so far away from all this stuff, and I'm becoming more knowledgeable every day. I'm sitting down with Travis Mateer, a University of Illinois Extension educator for beef and cattle. We're going to go ahead and take our first little break here on WTIM's information station. This is the WTIM Morning Show. We'll be right back.
Your information station, WTIM.
If you're looking for a local, full or part-time job in Central Illinois, there's an easy place to go to find current job openings. It's IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. You'll find jobs available near you. And the best part is that it's free for candidates to access 24/7. If you want a local job, when you don't have to spend a lot of money on gas to get to, then you want access to IllinoisJobPost.com to check out current local job openings. That web address again is IllinoisJobPost.com. Another service from your friends at the Miller Media Group.
Operation Loaded Book Bag Back to School Membership Special is going on now. The Christian County YMCA, in collaboration with Taylorville Memorial Hospital and Dinner Seasoned with Love, will be collecting school supplies now through July 31st. Help a child succeed. If you bring a bag of school supplies, the Christian County Y will waive the activation fee for new members. The membership contract is for 1 full year. The Y, for youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. Keep your health at the top of the list. We know you've got a lot on your mind. Breathe easy. The SIU Center for Family Medicine in Decatur can help and is accepting new patients. Family medicine covers a broad spectrum of care for all ages, all genders, and every kind of disease. They do this with a wide offering of treatments and specialty clinics for all patients. Call 217-824-1134 to schedule your first appointment.
I'm Will Perkins, President and CEO of the Taylorville Community Credit Union. TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Miller Media Group Community Spotlight, allowing a different nonprofit organization to be highlighted on WTIM, WMKR, and WRAN each month.
This is Adam Vokes.
The Taylorville Optimist Club was formed on June 15, 1965 with the mission to help the youth of Taylorville. The club has been active in the community with events such as oratorical and essay contests, Easter egg hunts, bicycle safety, Youth Appreciation Dinners, Respect for Law Month, and our annual Salute to Law Enforcement Breakfast. The club meets twice a month on the second and fourth Thursdays at 7 a.m. in the basement of People's Bank and Trust in Taylorville. And we encourage anyone who would like to promote optimism to stop in to one of our meetings or send me a message at adam@vokes.com.
This is Cammie Payne, General Manager of the Miller Media Group. We, along with TCCU, are proud to bring you the Community Spotlight each month.
TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Miller Media Group Community Spotlight. Come join us. You'll wonder why you waited. Member NCUA.
This is Jenny Turvey, manager of Rolling Meadows Senior Living in Taylorville. To learn more about our apartments, click on our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Jansen's Heating and Air is the home of Dr. Comfort, focusing on customer care for heating and air conditioning across Central Illinois for some 35 years. Find out their services, specials, and coupons by clicking their icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Information Station. My name is Tim Zalabak, bringing you your WTIM Morning Show. Thank you much to our stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. We'll get right back into it. I'm sitting down with Travis Mateer. He's a beef and cattle educator out of the University of Illinois Extension Office. We've had a great conversation so far. Travis, do I still got you?
Yep, I'm here.
Awesome. We still got you. You still sound great for us. Now, we've talked a whole lot about the Dudley Smith Annual Field Day. It's going to be an interesting collection of local cattle and beef farmers here. And that is going to be very valuable for them because we are dealing with some tough drought times here in Illinois. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just get one more thing out there. Is folks are looking to attend our Dudley Smith Farm Field Day, we do encourage them to register. You can search, simply Google search Dudley Smith Farm Field Day 2023, and you'll see an orange register tab that pops up, and that'll lead you to our registration site, or our phone number at the local county extension office, which would be your Christian County Extension office at 217-287-7246, and you can register that way. But we would encourage that you pre-register and let us know you're coming. And if you can't, check out a lot of the resources there on the Dudley Smith website. We do have some research reports on past projects. May not be able to get into all the current data there that we'll be talking about at the field day, but you can see some of our past research projects on the Dudley Smith Initiative website. And then also we have some information up about the topics in the beef cattle area at extension.illinois.edu/beef cattle.
Beautiful. That was, sorry, I should have gotten that information out there to all the folks, and that was very important. Thank you for plugging that right there.
You bet. And Tim, you wanted to talk about the drought, and there's no doubt that's been what my, has dominated my email inbox and my cell phone, voicemails. Folks are wanting to figure out how to navigate this scenario. And so we have seen some really, I would think, anomalies in terms of weather here early this spring. And from a beef cattle standpoint, our stage was maybe not set up for success initially. So we've had such elevated feed costs. We've had hay shortages going into last fall. And so producers were already trying to figure out, okay, do we have enough hay to make it through the winter? We probably had some early turnout of beef cows because of limited hay supplies. The next thing we know, it turns off dry on us, and we've had kind of stagnant pasture production. So our beef cattle, we know, are grazing animals, and they're very reliant on pasture and grazable forages. When it doesn't rain, we're definitely limited there. So I think a lot of the focus, and rightfully so, has been on row crop ratings in fields, but our pasture ratings continue to decline, and we're already seeing producers in some of the hardest drought-stricken areas in Illinois starting to feed hay and pull cows into dry lot scenarios. And so to be doing that in a period where we're normally still grazing, when we normally still have abundant forage from our spring flush, it is a little bit unnerving for our cattle producers to be feeding maybe some of those hay supplies that are already short. So tough decisions to make, and definitely there's kind of a decision tree that comes if we are looking at trying to manage through a drought situation.
Totally. I'm sure there's important decisions to be made about when to employ certain tactics. When was the last time Illinois has experienced a drought like this?
Yeah, well, I think as expansive as we've seen, especially the whole state of Illinois, the most severe drought that was of recent times, definitely in 2012. But I would say that one of the challenges is that we've had cattle producers aren't new to drought. So we've navigated, and I don't know if this is a new term, but it seems like our folks in the weather business come up with new things to get us to tune in and watch on TV all the time. But flash drought has definitely been something that's been discussed. So we've had even short-term dryness that's really posed challenges to cattle producers, even as recent as last year or a couple of years ago. And so not necessarily are these decisions maybe brand new, but their scale and volume and the impact that we could have, I think, is definitely different this year. And so my conversation with cattle producers, first we talk about how can we do our very best at maintaining what grazable forage we have. And so something that's really I'm smiling because it's a tried and true principle that Ed Ballard talks about, and a really big focus point of things that we talk about at Dudley Smith Farm is the rotation of pastures, resting forages, and avoiding overgrazing. We can do that. We definitely can extend our grazing season even in a drought. When we do catch a rain, those forages are better off in terms of root mass and can recover quicker. And we can produce more forage after we get a little bit of rain. If we manage our grass in a situation where it has some rotation and rest to those roots and that forages. After that, I think conversations really come down to more of stored feeds, what maybe immediate supplements we have for cattle that are on short pasture. And in that situation, we're probably looking at our co-product feeds like gluten and distillers grains and soybean hulls, all fiber-based feeds that can really match fiber digestion that occurs on a pasture scenario without inhibiting any digestion. We do see some negative associative effects or negative digestion impact of feeding too much starch, so too much corn. So I really like those fiber-based feeds when cattle are still on pasture. Once pasture gets too short, though, and we need to provide alternative forages, it does come in that hay, stored hay that we may already have. Producers may be looking at some other alternatives, CRP if it gets released, opportunities to graze.
Hey, Travis, I'm so sorry. We are running out of time, Travis. I'm so sorry. We got to hit this outro. I wish I could talk to you about this for the rest of the day.
No worries. These are conversations that I'm having every day, so I'm used to it. But I love talking about it. And honestly, if folks attend Dudley Smith Farm Field Day, we can have these conversations in greater length and more personalized to their farm.
I would love that. I really hate to cut you off there, Travis, but we are out of time. But I really appreciate you coming on with us. That's Travis Mead-Matier out of the University of Illinois Extension. He's a beef and cattle educator. You were listening to the WTIM Morning Show.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W298 CD Shelbyville, 107.9 W300 EH Payne and Nokomis.
Basically calling on him to remove the defense minister. Now, a day and a half, 2 days later, the defense minister is still in place. That was one of the signals we were looking for, and that's one of the answers we've got.
The uprising was a morale booster for the Ukrainians. Tens of thousands of North Koreans